Hi. Good evening, guys. Uh, XAT 2019 is over, and we have Shashank with us. Without much ado, he's basically out in the sun, so we will quickly get reactions and what the estimated cutoffs are going to be. Shashank, we'll start off with what is the first feeling that you get out of the paper? Tough,
Uh,
easy?
yeah, definitely tough. As in that has seldom been easy. Uh,
Mhm.
what I got a feeling was I had taken it in 16 and 17. I had not taken 2018 SAT. But this paper was more similar to 2009, 2011, those SATs, 10 SATs.
2011 XAT.
Uh, 9, when there used to be what, 101 marks worth of questions, and the cutoff used to be some 35, 36.
Mhm.
So, round about that. So, that's what I felt. Overall, again, it was even if people had what 20, 30 minutes more to solve the test, even then I don't think it would have been ambiguity. And again, even in quant,
Okay. What happens to the probably the signal is not as great as we expected it to be, but it's okay. What happens to the individual sections? I mean, let's start with English first. VARC, any surprises, difficulty levels? I mean, that is usually very tricky when it comes to these options, especially in English. What was your reaction over there?
so it was tough. The difficult last year, I think at least the VA and critical reasoning parts were at least doable.
Hmm.
I felt that even that was tough this year. The passages again were broadly based on philosophy, morality, so, very difficult to read. The questions were passages were not really something which would have given marks. There was a poem again, with a popular feature, I guess. No? So one poem, two questions.
Shashank, what I'll do is, I think there is a signal problem over there. What you can do is, if you want, you can switch off your video so that,
Such
yeah.
everything was more or less what we had expected. But of
Okay.
course, there was ambiguity.
Shashank, I did not get the last part. There is some problem in the signal over there.
Okay. I
English
was
part, yeah.
I was talking about. So there was nothing different compared to what we see in other tests. So all the question types are what people already knew, but there was, of course, there was some ambiguity involved in the options. Options were very close. So and again, a couple of options sounded exactly the same. Even I'm not very sure as to how well I have done. Difficult passages, close options, very difficult to say for sure if everything will fall as expected or not. So I don't know. My thing is it's a
What do you
difficult.
expect the cutoff to be in terms of marks, not in terms of like percentage, how that reports? Roughly, I mean, given that also that minus zero point 0.1 was there, right? Instead of minus
Yeah.
0.05 for that.
So in VA at least I felt that some 6, 7 questions were sort of sitters. People could have attempted it well if they had read it properly. Beyond that, almost everything was in that moderate to zone. Some 10, 12 questions I found were sort of moderate, wherein a lot of thought process was required, and then you needed a bit of luck in the last two options. And the difficult questions were the ones which people would not have been able to touch. So typically, I say that the cutoff is all half of moderate. So 5, 6 from here and some 4, 5 from there. I think 10 plus would be a good score in BA
So
out
10
of.
plus, including that negative part which you're talking about. I mean, that is people have a lot of anxiety about that negative part which is there.
I think people would be very happy if they get 10 plus. I think
Okay.
6, 7, 8 would what
I mean, so
sort of an
basically,
average. If you
8
put it
plus will be like easy to clear the cutoff for Excel both programs, right? So,
double digits would be a good score. I think
so 8 to 9
out of what
roughly
26
is. So 8 to 9 sounds a good number.
should be. Should be. Should
Okay,
be.
let's go to decision making. The most talked about section, the most different section as such over there. You found anything different? Anything in terms of like data specific, where the questions large, where the number of questions per passage or per case reduced? What exactly was it?
Uh, no, see, DM was I think similar to what happened last year. So there was a lot of ambiguity. The cases were very easy to read. The cases were not very difficult to read as such, but the number of sitters were very few. I mean, it was very few, the number of sitters. So one or two sets you could have solved without, even without preparation for that matter. But beyond that, it was very difficult to solve questions because they asked descending order of
Okay, so you had those questions where you have to order those things. I mean, that
four
usually
things,
becomes painful. That becomes painful. Yeah,
five courses of action are there. You have to figure out either the top three or top three in descending order. So again, that was tricky business
that is yeah, really
because
difficult.
again, for every question, you have to pay attention to whether they are asked it in descending order or they just asked the top three. So again, but pretty difficult to be honest. It was not no clear cut ethical one option which will
Dilemmas.
be
Okay.
which will be ethically correct and the others will be morally a bit on shaky ground. It was not like that. In one or two questions, I figured out that all three options were sort of morally corrupt.
What was, I mean, any interesting case which you would like to, I mean, if somebody wants to go back and just reflect on it, I mean, any interesting case from real life? Because that usually gives real life sort of scenario. I mean, anything which stands out in your
No,
mind?
similar to extremely similar to what happened last. Didn't see any contemporary case as such,
Mm-hmm.
but pretty similar. All your someone accuses someone, but it has not been founded, so you conduct a meeting and those sort of things.
Okay.
People are even similar to what happened last time. Someone was apprehensive that some new person had joined, and that will lead to lack of loss of productivity. That sort of a thing. So pretty straightforward. I think once the paper comes out, people will be able to see. But the point is, if I'm not able to remember the cases, recollect the cases, then the cases are like pretty straightforward. Just that the questions were difficult.
When it comes to the cutoffs, what exactly do you feel the cutoff would be?
DM I think will fall single digits. I guess
I mean, it's anyways usually single
seven,
digit use. Yeah, 6 or 7 is roughly the case.
seven, yeah. 10 plus would be brilliant. I guess in this.
10 plus. I mean, in DM,
And
I
again,
mean,
it
what,
was
there are 24, 25 questions in DM? 22,
21.
21. So, I mean, 10 is going to be
10
massive.
is going to be a big, huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. Okay. And last one, maths. I mean, usually one of the most favorite parts, because I mean, their questions are humongously large
Yeah.
sometimes. And you actually fall in love with the question rather than actually solving it. Any particular question which stands out in the mind? What do you think the overall? Uh, was there any particular area which was being focused on?
Geometry, trigonometry,
Okay.
a lot to the rest. I didn't really see a lot of arithmetic. Very few questions on arithmetic. Nothing on allegations, mixtures. One question on nothing on averages, percentages.
How was the
But
DI?
I think one was okay, not very straightforward. One question could have been done. The other one was based on time zones. So multiple cities, multiple time zones. We have to figure out which city, which two cities were in the same time zone. Not very straightforward. Slightly difficult, but if someone could have cracked out the differences in both the routes, probably could have cracked that. Not very easy. DI one set was sort of easy, the other was difficult. Quant on the
And
whole was difficult. Was not
And
very
what will you say about their favorite ones, the higher math sort of questions, which sometimes tends to go towards that? Were there any
right.
interesting permutation, combination, probability questions?
I don't remember any PNC.
Okay.
There were a couple of PS questions. One was on this pigeonhole principle,
Hmm.
but again, sort of difficult. But most of the questions were quadratic equations, couple of questions on logs,
Their
mostly
usual
geometric,
favorites. Yeah, their usual
trigonometry,
favorites. Yeah.
advanced or else it
Okay.
would have been very.
So now in CAT, quant was in CAT, quant was the toughest section. I think in here also quant was tougher. I mean, say if you were to compare CAT quant this year versus XAT quant this year, which one do you think was trickier, or
Cat,
can you compare? Sorry?
cat quant was much more friendly. Cat quant. I think cat had a lot of questions on arithmetic.
Okay.
So even if someone had not prepared, could have solved some 10, 12 questions, I believe, in this year's paper. The 10 questions could have been solved probably. But given that SAT asked trigonometry and all those things, which people are not very comfortable with, a lot of people would have found it difficult, I believe. The good thing was there was a lot of time because, irrespective of however much time you spend on DM and VARC, it wouldn't matter. Right? So people could have leisurely spent what 1 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes on quant easily. 1 hour
Oh,
probably.
that much.
So if
But
you
it's not
spend
going to, I mean, why do you say that even after this 1 hour, I mean, people will not be able to improve their scores? Or like,
the topics, people might not really be comfortable with. I mean, I have not seen a lot of people who will be very confident with trigonometry to find out as in, the questions that were there, right? A square,
okay.
then you have four equilateral triangles, then you join the vertices, another square.
Uh,
Extremely time consuming question. So what you have to figure out sine 120 and that sort of a thing. So 150 and all.
what was the what do you expect the cutoff to be? Usually it's somewhere around 8 to 10. So
The
roughly
quant
the
I
same.
think will be up. I think 10 again, given that 27 marks worth of it was there, one DI set could have been done, a few quant questions could have been attempted. I think that again 10, 11, 12 plus should be a good score.
No, but
I
what do you expect the cutoff to be? Like, I
Cutoffs
mean,
are
you need
generally
to
low. So again, I think 8, 9 probably.
8 or 9 is pretty good. So
But
you are
I
saying, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
score, I think quant was the section wherein one could have improved the overall score. So if someone is positively looking at what 30, 32, 35 marks, I believe that some 15 odd has to come from quant.
Oh,
That's
so
all.
roughly, I mean, I'll just quickly recap what we discussed. You have about 8 to 9 marks to be the cutoff for Excel, about 7 to 8 for DM.
Probably.
Yeah,
Could
seven
be.
to eight for DM, and I mean 7 to 8 will be a very good score in DM according to Shashank, and another single digits, high single digits for quant
But
as well. Overall, about 34, 35 should be good enough to get the Excel
I
calls.
think because again, if you're looking at what 96, 97 percentile, compare it to that 36, 35, 36% paper in 2009, 2010, I think 35% of 74 probably. I'm looking at a high 20, 28, 29 probably.
So
30
29
plus
might
should
be
be,
good enough. 30,
I
30
think
plus
so.
should be 30 plus should
30
be good enough for the lowest cutoff, so to
I
speak.
think so. Yeah.
About
30 plus
95,
should be
96 percentile.
comfortably a BM call. I think 30 plus.
And last part, GK. How
Week,
was
I don't know. Well, basically, people don't really care what happens in week.
That's true.
Very few sitters from what I figured out.
Okay. Is
And
it
most of it was what March 2018, October 2018, that sort of a thing.
and last part, were there any errors or any problems with the computer just like last year?
I felt that one quant question was slightly off because
Okay.
I don't know. I might have been wrong. I might not have seen it correctly. Some 2x plus 3 root 7 something was given to be the root of an equation, which I don't know. But I think beyond that, everything was
And
fine.
what was the attendance rate? Did it fall? Like any?
No, no, I think pretty much everything turned up.
Okay, so everyone turned up. I mean, whoever had filled up. Okay. Uh, that's pretty nice. I would. We'll take Shashank's leave. He has to go and catch a train. You're too far from the place, or like.
I am always far from everywhere.
Okay. Thanks, Shashank. Shashank actually scored a 99.9 plus percentile in CAT. So if you want to congratulate him, please do it. Thank you very much, Shashank. Always a pleasure having
Great.
you. Uh, before we leave, just a couple of things. We have given out the link for how to, if you have any questions regarding which colleges to fill up, etc., based on your scores. The link is given below on the in the description to this video. Please do share this video with your friends. Tomorrow evening we will have a special session on colleges to apply specifically based on the questions that we have. Uh, till that time, see you again tomorrow. Thanks, Shashank.
Great, great.
Good
Thanks,
night.
thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah.
All
Bye.
the best.